Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Wake up at Holiday Inn Express to a can't-miss breakfast that's free with every stay. Count on all the hot, fresh coffee you need and an incredible breakfast buffet that has something for everyone, like eggs, cinnamon rolls, and even hot, fresh pancakes with all the toppings you crave. Next time, do yourself a favor and stay at a Holiday Inn Express with a can't-miss breakfast that's free with every stay. So, when you wake up at Holiday Inn Express, you'll wake up happy, a part of IHG Hotels and Resorts.
Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Hey y'all, how's it going? Happy Friday. I'm your host, Elena Grace, and you're listening to I've Been Thinking. So this week, for another October kind of spooky themed episode, we are going to be talking about why we are so fascinated by true crime. And, it's funny because I grew up, like, my Granny Bonnie was obsessed. She and I together would always watch like 60 Minutes and Unsolved Mysteries and stuff like that. But she was the only person I would ever watch that with. My mama, my mom's mom, Granny Bonnie is my dad's mom. My mama, she also is like an OG true crime fan. She was obsessed with, just all kinds of TV trials and stuff like that. She would always follow those. I remember even during the Casey Anthony trial, she was like obsessed with that, kept super up with it, would like ask me what I thought. I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember how old I was. That was 2008, so I was like 15. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not into true crime yet. But when I got older, specifically, I guess when I was around like 22, 23, I started listening to Crime Junkies, and that's when I got super into it. And so if you know me personally, you know I'm the biggest scaredy cat ever. Like, I am terrified of the dark even. I'm terrified of frogs, okay? So, there you go. But true crime has been something that, it's kind of let me address my scaredy catness and grow through it, right? So I'm not nearly as big of a scaredy cat now as I used to be. And I really think that my true crime podcasts have contributed to that, because used to, I would listen to an episode of Crime Junkie and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've got to sit in the bedroom and not move because somebody's going to break into the house and kill me. And now I can listen to it and just like while I'm cleaning, while I'm driving, while I'm taking a shower. Like, who am I? But it's been really fun for me. My mother hates it because she is also a scaredy cat. But Anyway, today I want to talk to you about some of the reasons that I have found, like kind of scientifically, I guess, through some research, that we are fascinated by true crime. So, first of all, humans have a natural fascination with disasters, like how you can't look away from a train wreck, or how you just have to watch that girl at the bar make a fool of herself, even though you have the worst ever secondhand embarrassment for her. But you just oh, you want to stop her, but you can't. We just have this fixation on chaos and even on violence. And that's why we play some of the video games that we play. That's why we watch some of the movies that we play or that we watch. And, true crime fulfills that. But it even goes deeper than that. There are theories from different psychologists and even some philosophers that support the idea that violence and those who commit it are not enigmas of society. They're not the outcasts that we think of them as. Rather, they are integral to society, which means that essentially these things kind of are supposed to happen in a weird way. I don't know exactly how to explain that, but it means that we're inherently interested in the details of crimes, but also that we're interested in the punishment received by those who commit them. So, we want to know what happened, and that's something that is ingrained in our psyche, that we want to know what happened, but also we want to make sure that those people are punished, right? And that is the integral part of society that they play. And I think you could push that further and say that those people need to be there because they serve as reminders of what could happen if we kind of step out of line of our social contracts, So then there's also to look at that hit my laptop. Then there's also the sense of we want to understand why these things happened. So what drove someone to commit such an evil act? Or even, are we capable of that? And I think that goes to a very inherently, naturally human idea too, where we want to know what we're capable of. We want to know, could I do that? But at the same time, it's bad. It's a bad thing. Somebody's been hurt. Somebody's been wronged. And we want to ask, could I do that too? But also we want to know what made them do that, because I want to know if those same things that have happened to me, if those same ideas go through my brain, all of those things. We want to know the nitty gritty because we want to be able to kind of be on the lookout for it within ourselves, but also within others. I remember, this is such a weird thing, but my mom and I watched a lot of CSI, NCIS, all of those we didn't watch Law and Order, but a lot of those kind of cop shows when I was growing up. She didn't like the real ones. Those were too scary, but the fake ones were fine. And for some reason, from one of those, I learned about the McDonald triad when I was a kid. I was like 9. And if you don't know, the McDonald triad is 3 of the kind of warning signs that a child will become a serial killer. And that is wetting the bed, setting fires, and animal abuse. Now, when I was a kid, on occasion, I would have an accident at night. I didn't regularly wet the bed, but on occasion, just like any kid does, I would have an accident. I love, this sounds awful, but I love playing with fire, and I still do. When they're, like, my parents have a fire pit on their patio at the house, and they told Adam a few weeks ago, they were like, just let Elena play with the fire, just let her do it. This was literally a few weeks ago. They were like, just let her do it. She loves setting things on fire. Just, you gotta roll with it. And so, and I like to set things on fire when I was a little kid too. Like, set it on fire for a hot second, then I'd immediately put it out because I was terrified of actually burning a building down or something. Like, and it was just like pieces of paper. But, and I was very careful. But like I said, when I was a kid, I learned about the McDonald triad, right? So I was like, wetting the bed. Well, I do that on occasion. Setting fires. Oh, I like to kind of set things on fire sometimes. I need to be careful. And then I remember one day I had 2 new puppies, and I was like 9, and they were being super annoying, and I was outside playing with them. I got so mad, and I wanted to hit one of them, and I stopped, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna become a serial killer. And clearly I didn't. I've never had the urge. But because I was aware of those things, aware of those warning signs, I was like, okay, well, what if that means I'm capable of this? I need to take a step back. I need to make sure that I don't fall into these same, delusions, whatever. So there you go. That's kind of a good example of why we want so badly to understand, what people's motivations are, because it lets us say, oh crap, I need to reevaluate if I'm having some of these same ideas. Okay. And then there's also the 24-hour news cycle. Y'all know, I think, that the mass 24-hour media is the literal devil. They sensationalize everything. And there's this saying, if it bleeds, it leads. So for them, fear makes the money. Fear gets views. So they're going to do everything they can to put those horrible crime stories on the front page, to talk about, a man who murders his whole entire family, to talk about that all the time, because that's how they get those views. That's how they get their ratings. But there's also, kind of going back to what I was talking about, with when I was a kid and realizing, oh my gosh, what if I'm going to be a serial killer? I need to be aware. There's a different kind of benefit to it, and it's kind of evolutionary. Historically, if you paid attention to the fact that a mammoth stepped on somebody on the grassland and they died, you would learn from it and you would stay out of the mammoth's way. You wouldn't get under his feet. So, in the exact same way, listening to those true crime podcasts or watching the TV shows, it teaches us. We can learn from it and we can think, okay, this girl got murdered doing this mundane thing. Maybe she was on a run with her headphones in, right? You don't do that. You don't do that because you can't hear. You cannot hear. You don't know if anybody's coming up behind you. So she was on a run with both of her headphones in. Music was loud. She got kidnapped and murdered. Well, that's how you learn. Okay, yikes, I won't do that. Or this girl or guy, a family forgot to lock the back door and a serial killer slipped in. Well, you think, oh crap, sometimes I forget to check the back door. I'm going to make sure I always do that now. And, we learn from it. So we think, I could be murdered. So I'm going to be more prepared. I'm going to be more aware. And I'm going to prepare myself in case that happens. And then, like I said earlier, there's this kind of sense of, am I capable of that? But I think more than that, it's a sense of, I'm glad I'm not the victim. You want to hear these things because you wonder, could I do that? Most likely, hopefully, no, you couldn't stomach those things. But you listen to it hoping that you hear these horrible things that you could never in your wildest dreams imagine yourself doing. And that's reassuring, I think. And then you also listen to it and think, okay, well, I don't do those things. So hopefully this won't happen to me. Or perhaps you listen to it, like I said, and you think, oh, I do those kinds of things. This could happen to me. But either way, it's a controlled fear thing. It's like when we watch a scary movie. We know we're going to be scared. But you're watching this movie, you're scared of what's happening. But you're going to go get in your safe little bed. And you might be a little bit scared that somebody's going to pop in through the window and murder you. But you know it's extremely unlikely. So, we like to be scared sometimes. I don't know why. I don't get it. I mean, I like it too, I guess, but I don't understand why. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to give some shout outs real quick to my favorite true crime podcasts. So I mentioned and have mentioned in other episodes, I think Crime Junkie. I love Crime Junkie. I love Britt and Ashley. I also love Ashley's other kind of creepy podcast that she does, especially Supernatural. Really, 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 really good. And then I also love Morbid, a true crime podcast. I love Ashley and Elena. We're name sisters. And their Parcast podcast, Crime Countdown, I really enjoy that one too. And then I also really enjoy listening to Down the Rabbit Hole. It's another smaller podcast like me, but they cover missing persons cases, and I think they're really fun. The girls are really fun. and they cover some really interesting cases. So definitely go check those guys out. All right. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I hope this answered a few questions for you as to why we're fascinated by true crime. I know I rambled a little bit. Let me know. A lot of people have said that they prefer me with kind of the talking points and then rambling off of those, so I hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to figure out my exact style, and I think I like this version better personally. So go subscribe to the Patreon, guys. That's how you get early access to episodes, and you also get extra content there. And subscribing to the Patreon also allows me to continue working on this awesome, super fun project. Make sure you go give us a follow on Instagram at I've Been Thinking Pod, and comment on today's post to let us know what you thought. Follow us on Twitter at Been Thinking Pod. Subscribe to us wherever you listen, and if you use Apple Podcasts, give us those 5 stars and hit us up with a raving review. Now, thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk at you next week. Bye.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Come unwrap some holiday magic this season in Denver, where the lights are brighter and the shopping is grander. The shows are more spectacular, the trees taller, the festivities merrier. So come for your holiday traditions or make some new ones with your friends and family in the Mile High City, where the season feels a whole lot more wonderful. Discover great hotels and more things to do at milehighholidays.com.